Hi, today I'm going to go through the major types of handguns that have been used throughout history in the U.S. military. Those types are the cap and ball revolver, the single action revolver, the top break revolver, the swing out cylinder revolver, and the semi-automatic pistol. The first type of handgun is the muzzle-loading single-shot pistol. These were not widely used in the U.S. military due to their single-shot nature and long reload time. Instead, swords, cutlasses, mangoshes, and other such bladed weapons were used instead. So let's skip ahead to the mid-19th century with the cap and ball revolver. This gun is single action, meaning you cock the hammer for every time the gun is to be fired. It does not fire cartridge ammunition. Instead, each individual cylinder must be loaded with loose powder, ball, and cap. This was quite complicated and slow, as I shall now demonstrate. I'm not going to be using live components because it takes significant time to unload this and it's not exactly safe to do indoors. So, first, you must do as I have done, which is to put the hammer on a half-cock notch. Then, taking your powder flask, powder, ball, rammer, ram, 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 powder, ball, rammer, ram. Now, you must place a cap on each individual cylinder. Cap, 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 cap. The gun may now be fully cocked and then fired at a target if necessary. This had to be done every 6 shots, and you can see how quite cumbersome it would be in the heat of battle, and was prone to being misloaded, misfired, and other such failures. The next major development in firearms technology was not with the gun itself, but with the ammunition, with the invention of the self-contained metallic cartridge. Here was the ammunition in one neat little package. The bullet, the powder, which is held inside the casing, and the primer, which is used for igniting the powder charge. The revolver was still much like the cap and ball revolver. It had to be cocked before each shot where the trigger could be pulled. However, now loading was much simplified. The gun merely had to be again placed on half cock, a loading gate opened, and then each cartridge with the ejector rod could then be ejected one by one. Once all the empty cartridges has been ejected, you could then take fresh cartridges and load them one at a time into the chamber. The loading gate then closed. Now the gun merely needs to have the hammer cocked and the gun is ready to fire. While the self-contained metallic cartridge offered a significant increase in both ease of use and firepower, there were still difficulties inherent with the design. Namely, for cavalry troops, the action of having to eject each individual cartridge and then individually load cartridges was time-consuming and difficult on horseback. Thus, the next significant development was the top break revolver, which I shall now demonstrate for you. There is a latch on the side of the gun which, when pressed, has the action break in half, thus the name. The cartridges are then simultaneously extracted and ejected, and then new cartridges can be quickly placed into the cylinders. The action then closed, and the gun is ready to be fired. One inherent drawback to the top brake design is that it is inherently less durable than other solid frame design. This is due to the top braking action, a high stress position who's held closed only by the latching mechanism, which over time can become worn and cause misfires and other such malfunctions. In an effort to combine the speed and ease of loading of the brake top revolver with the strength and durability of the solid frame revolver, the next major development was the swing out cylinder revolver. This type of gun also popularized the double action, single action trigger mechanism, in which, for accuracy, the gun may be cocked with the thumb as in a single action and the trigger pulled. Or, if firepower is needed at the expense of accuracy, the trigger can be pulled in one motion, which rotates the cylinder to the next chamber, cocks, and then drops the hammer. The swing-out cylinder revolver is thus named because it has a swing-out cylinder, which allows cartridges to be quickly ejected and new cartridges loaded into the cylinder, as I shall now demonstrate. With the cylinder closed, the gun is now ready to fire. For all the technological development that's gone on between the cap and ball revolver and the double action, single action, swing out cylinder revolver, you can see the basic design has remained the same. Both have a cylinder which generally holds about 6 shots before needing to be reloaded. The next major development to come along was the semi-automatic pistol. The semi-automatic pistol is able to automatically reload itself, feeding cartridges from a detachable magazine. Reloading, as we can see, has become significantly quicker. On the last shot, the slide locks back, in which the old magazine can then be ejected from the gun and a new magazine inserted and the slide closed. The next added advantage is that the revolver was limited generally to about 6 shots. The semi-automatic pistol can hold between 8 and, in this case, 17 shots between reloading. One important caveat with the semi-automatic pistol is that its speed in reloading is dependent upon the user having another loaded magazine with which to replace the one that's been emptied. If one does not have another loaded magazine, then the reloading speed becomes inferior to that of the top brake or swing-out cylinder revolvers. That completes my demonstration of handgun technology from the 19th century through the 20th century. I hope you found it informative. Thank you.